I learned a lot of technical things, but I also learned a lot about the people side, the soft side. And I've been on chairlifts a lot lately. And when you're on a chairlift, you can do a lot of reflecting of some thought. So what I made a list, not while I was on a chairlift, but of some of the things I learned from some of the people at EMD. So I just threw some of those thoughts down, and I had a lot of them, so I wrote them down.
I have to try it closer because you're probably not going to be able to hear it.
Some of the things I learned, like from a co-op, that you shouldn't send an all-employee email out about having a wicked hangover the week before. From another ex-CA, if there's a staff meeting going on in Auditorium B, you probably shouldn't use the equipment closet there to change into your spandex biking outfit. Probably not a good thing to do. Probably not a good thing to do. But you could try, but probably not a good thing to do. But bringing it back to our department, Katie, what I learned from Katie. I learned microbreweries all over. The Subaru Crosstrek. Learned a lot about the Subaru Crosstrek, and look at Subaru Crosstrek. Yeah. Trying to find a Subaru Crosstrek in the park.
We were all watching them in the car.
And I learned a lot about all the different injuries people could have. You know, sports related and non-sports related.
Medical knowledge.
A lot of medical knowledge from Kate. From Ryan Nath. I learned that as much as we stared at those frickin' whiteboards on U597, day after day after day, trying to get the materials to reconcile,
Thinking any better?
we couldn't figure it out. And I know we're not alone on U597. Everybody else who worked here on U597 and tried to get any of the numbers to balance on U597 was a challenge. Also from Ryan, I learned about all the Oracle WTFs you can run into, and he would ask me about them, okay? So Alexis, if you see Ryan coming...
Figured them all out though.
If you see Alexis coming, run away. Or if you see Ryan coming, run away. Okay? And I also learned about the menu at Mad Max from Ryan.
That's right, and the happy
the happy hour and the Thanksgiving, the Gobblerito. And at Christmas time, what did they have? They had a Christmas special. Right?
Oh yeah.
All right. From Tom, okay? I learned about the wineries in Erie and Niagara on the Lake. All the good food in the Middle East. You know, I did learn about liquid smoked barbecue sauce. I didn't know that existed, liquid smoked barbecue sauce. Until he made that delicious pork barbecue, and then he quit making it anymore. And then we got Sam's Club hot dogs, which I still think there's some in the closet. If you look, there's some wrapped up.
For the next spotlight.
They're right in there.
This had something to do with pay raises.
That's right.
Affected by market.
That's right. And then, you know, we had, sitting right across from Tom, we had a co-op who's not here to defend himself, but, you know, I learned what not to wear to work and the importance of sleep. You know, you really learn what happens if you don't get sleep and what happens if you do get sleep. You know, from another co-op we had.
Learned that because it's so next to us.
That's right. You know, from another co-op, I learned about all the different soups we have in the cafeteria. Which soups are good, which soups are bad. The unfortunate thing is you probably shouldn't use that as your focus for your co-op presentation. Probably not a good thing to do.
Sierra, yeah.
Did a co-op presentation on soups?
Yes.
Probably not a good thing.
I bet we didn't hire her, did we?
Probably not.
She didn't make the cut. No.
Didn't make the cut. But we did have some good co-ops. From Alex, he learned the importance of sleep. He knows the importance of sleep. I learned about the frustrations of being a Duquesne Dukes basketball fan. and I learned about the bar. Well, I knew most of the bars at Dewey Beach, but I heard more about the bars at Dewey Beach.
Starboard.
Yeah. Now, if you notice, I'm kind of going down the rows in the queues. Wait, I just had a Kathleen flashback. Wait, skip that one. Skip that one. All right. I got to drink it. All right. Ryan, I learned about the beaches in Sarasota, and he told me about these bugs that they have down there called the no-see-ums, right? I don't know whether it's good or bad, but you can't see them, right? But they're bugs. So those are probably the worst kind of bugs to get are the no-see-ums. Now, I'm going down to see the Pirates in March, and they asked me to try out for a middle reliever, because, they're, and I told them, I said, if that falls through, I can maybe help them, write an Oracle program to help them steal signs or with the buzzer technology, but they said it wouldn't help, so if I don't make it as middle relief, I probably won't be able to get a job. From Emma and Ellen, I relived the stories about having kids in daycare and all the rules and all the bad things that go about. If you have your kids in daycare and if they get sick, what do you do? If they have a fever, if they think about a fever, you can't be there. So for Ellen, I was trying to tie something together with a woodwind player from Riverview with, some of the favorite movies that we have in common, like, My Cousin Vinny and The Princess Bride and like You Blend or, The Laws of Physics Don't Exist on Your Stove. But I think if I would have had a little bit more time on a chairlift, I could have tied it together, but it was inconceivable. And what do they say about that? That's not what you think it is. That's right. So, where am I at? Oh, DK. So, Danielle and I, we sat next to each other on and off for probably about 8 years. We even shared a parking handicap spot when I was wobbling around on a broken leg and she was pregnant and had difficult pregnancy. We had dueling handicap spots. But after 8 years, I didn't learn anything about Danielle. So what I learned was, I learned a lot about iPhones, a little bit anyhow. If it wasn't for Danielle, I probably wouldn't have got those Rolling Stones tickets 2 weeks ago. That was an iPhone challenge. I also learned that there were more different varieties of lunch other than yogurt and a banana. I learned about her family, her kids, her parents, her in-laws' tattoos, what the tattoos said.
Tattoos that Danielle has?
No, her in-laws, mother-in-law's tattoos. And then we were talking the other day, and one of the funniest family stories. Her father was visiting her brother. His brother at the hospital, and went to the wrong guy, the wrong room, and the wrong guy 4 consecutive days, and had a conversation with this guy who he thought was his brother for a couple hours a day.
My uncle is paralyzed from the waist down. And this guy that he was visiting, so my uncle was doing very bad, and we told him to go in and see him and then let us know. So my dad calls us from the hospital and was like, I'm here with Terry and he's wiggling his toes. And we're like, what? And we're like, yeah, he had bypass surgery and he's wiggling his toes. My family were like, oh my God, it's a miracle. We're all sobbing, couldn't believe it. Goes in the next day, he swung his legs off the bed. It's amazing. They're fighting over the Pirate game, blah, blah, blah. Fine. And then the next day he goes, and the next day he goes. He sees he's sitting in the room with his brother. And my aunt walks past, and she's like, he goes, Donna, what are you doing? And he's like, Bob, what are you doing? He's like, I'm visiting Terry. And she's like, that's not Terry. It was some complete stranger. But he had us all thinking that he was going to walk again after 25 years of being in a wheelchair.
Stranger do?
He would kiss him goodbye every time.
He's probably just happy to have the company.
Maybe.
I'll be Terry.
Yeah.
I could be Terry.
That's a funny story. Funny story. Let's see who's left. Alexis. I learned that someone else eats yogurt at lunch. I learned about some of the folks in finance, some stories which I'm not going to talk about. And she does take good notes, we hope. From Ed, I learned about life living on a submarine. And I learned that we had something in common about having older children still on your cell phone plan and trying to get them off. And it's not Matt, Emma. It's not Matt. It's my other son who the one who has trouble with metal detectors going through airports. So. Oh, dessert. More carbs.
Go big or go home, Dawn.
That's right. We're almost done here. We only have a couple people left. From Annette. I learned about the cleanliness in the factory restrooms in China. I learned about stories about ride sharing with Keith and Randy. Only the tip of the iceberg. And that was always good for saying as I would pass her in the hallway. One of the recent ones is, everything is bearable as long as you know it will end. And it is pretty true, and it's pretty relevant. I guess that's all. No, Mark. So I sat by Danielle for a number of years, and then Mark said, you've learned a lot from Danielle. You need to move close to me so you can learn about me. So the last couple of years I sat by Mark. So what I learned was the energy it takes to raise 4 kids. It's a lot more than 2. Just remember that, Ellen and Emma. I learned that if you run out of bedrooms for your children, you can always put them in a cardboard box.
Outside of a
outside of a cardboard box.
No, outside in a cardboard.
That's right. Outside in a cardboard box. That's right. I learned how many steps you can get in when you're touring Washington, D.C., and you're touring the monuments in D.C. from 8 p.m. to midnight, and the subway station is pretty far away from the hotel you started with. That still is a all-time record on my Fitbit that I don't think I will ever reach. I think it was on 27,000 steps that we did when we went out to the ARM conference in D.C. That was, yeah, not as bad as what Becky said with Vronsky taking her for a walk in China, the Baton Death March. 4 hours. Yeah. The last thing I learned from Mark was that, and Alexis, you'll find this out, not all coffees are created equal as it relates to caffeine. You'll know what coffee he had that day. As far as retiring, I'll miss the group, I'll miss the folks. I won't miss getting up. I'll miss the work a little bit, but probably I'll do something else. I want to thank you for the nice gift. It's either going to go for yogurt or it's going to go for probably a midweek ski pass at Seven Springs.
Juicy
It'll
fruit?
go for or juicy fruit.
That's a weird tiebreaker. Like either like 80 yogurt or a day on the slopes.
Or a day on the slopes. Ryan asked me if I was going to get a dog so I could come back at lunchtime and send an email. But I probably won't be doing that. So
You get 4 of them.
I'll get 4
One
dogs.
upper.
I'll get one of Danielle's. I'll get a dog, Danielle's dog. And I'll call.
Around 1
That's
o'clock.
right. You'll know my phone number. You'll know my phone number. Don't answer him. Don't answer him.
Where's
Don't
Danielle?
answer
I know
him.
Danielle.
Don't answer him.
Send her out.
So anyhow, hey, thanks, folks. It's been a pleasure. So thanks a lot.